consort of the British King George III from their marriage on September 8th in 1761 until her death in 1818. As George's wife, she was also Electress and later Queen of Hanover and Queen of America when the United States was ruled by England. On her wedding day, Charlotte spoke no English. However, she quickly learned English, albeit speaking with a strong German accent. Queen Charlotte was a direct descendant of Margarita de Castro e Souza, a black branch of the Portuguese royal house. Several de Souzas traveled to the Netherlands when their cousin, the Princess Isabella, went there to marry the Grand Duke, Philip the Good of Burgundy, in 1429. Charlotte was a patron of the arts and an amateur botanist who helped expand Kew Gardens. She was distressed by her husband's bouts of physical and mental illness, which became permanent in later life and resulted in their eldest son George's appointment as Prince Regent in 1811. George III and Charlotte had 15 children in total, 13 of whom survived to adulthood. They included two future British monarchs, George IV and William IV. The suggestion that Queen Charlotte was black implies that her granddaughter, Queen Victoria, and her great-great-great-great-granddaughter, Queen Elizabeth II, had African forebears.
You're invited to celebrate Black History Month with TNCRadio.live. We're shining a long overdue spotlight on the hidden figures of untaught history who deserve to be celebrated for their contributions to civil rights, politics, the arts, and beyond.
Yes, Virginia, there really was a Bridgerton. The Netflix series about a biracial queen has a royal underlying backstory. Sophia Charlotte, born May 19, 1744,
We're
and
shining
lived to
a
be
long
74,
overdue spotlight on the hidden figures of untaught history who deserve to be.
Okay.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is Lyne't with the Lyne't Gray Show here on KUAW. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Kansas City's first global community radio station. You're most likely listening to Lyne't Gray on KUAW-radio on Facebook, but you can also hear us on KU. I'm not on Facebook because every time I watch my show on Facebook while I'm in studio, I don't know what goes on, but my show starts spinning. I can't see people's comments until almost the end. So, I'm over it. I'm actually watching from Twitter today. But you can watch the show by typing in the letters KUAW spacebar radio on Twitter. I'm not watching on Twitter. I'm watching on YouTube. So you can watch it on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. Is Periscope now YouTube?
It's Twitter.
It's Twitter.
Periscope is Twitter.
Okay, so we're going to take, you can watch it on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and you can listen on the TuneIn app. So we have a guest today. She hasn't made it in, so we'll definitely reschedule her because she's got a very important message. And so, okay. But while we wait, and I want to let everyone know that we have, hold on, let me give y'all the events that we have coming up. Oh, excuse me for chewing gum, y'all. That's really rude. We have an event in Kansas City. Now, if y'all want y'all's events announced that are around the globe, send them in to me. I'll put them in my announcements. I don't have a problem with that. I don't want to just announce Kansas City. Anthony Hamilton versus Music Soul Child just went live. But anyway, y'all, so I'm going to have to go back and watch that. I was waiting for that. I don't know why they did it on the 15th. They should have done it on the 13th on Friday or something. Anyway, February 26th at 1 p.m. at the Robert J. Mohart Center at 3200 Wayne, Councilman Brandon Ellington is hosting a forum, What is Black? If Race is a Social Construct, Is Culture a Choice? It's an interactive dialogue, February 26th, 1 p.m. at the Robert J. Mohart Center, 3200 Wayne. And it will feature Indigenous Smith, Eric Bryce, panelist Austin Taylor. Oh, Austin. He knows my daughter. I think they went to college together. Justice Horn and Jaquay Valentine. And so I'm really excited about that. Also, our guest from last week, Wild Card Lifestyle, yes, they have this coming up weekend. They have their Creole brunch, their plant-based or vegan Creole brunch. So y'all go to their page, WYLDKARDLYFESTYLE, Wildcard Lifestyle. Also at 10 o'clock tonight, if you're in Kansas City, tune in to KSHB because they will be featuring Marquand on talking about Black men's mental health. We are so grateful to Marquand Gordon, the co-owner of Wildcard Lifestyle, and we're grateful for him being so honest. So thank you, Rebecca and Marquand. We appreciate y'all, and I'll be watching tonight. Okay, so one of the things we were going to discuss tonight is race. And I definitely want to bring this up, and I want to talk about this. Y'all going to see me lean to the side because my ribs are still a little bit tender, and I don't realize that till I'm actually sitting in a chair that don't have no give. So if I'm looking kind of angled, don't be like, oh, well, she needs to tilt. No, I can't. Anyways, I posted a post. Yeah, everybody knows I'm a truck driver. So I posted a post in all the trucker groups that told, I think it was like 15 inventions of Black people. Some of the most important inventions for Black people, which are for truckers, which is the traffic light, the transmission, whether automatic or manual. A Black man invented the manual, a Black man perfected the automatic. And the reefer unit that goes on the trucks. Those three, one of them is mandatory for trucking. Those three things, a Black man perfected the traffic signal. He took it from having to read stop and yield and go to putting the light color-coded system. And he also streamlined it and made it into the one stream that we see today. It was before it was those flags that came up. And so anyways, he perfected the traffic light. I posted, also a Black woman is responsible for these cameras you see now. All the cameras, all of the remote cameras, that's a Black woman. So I posted that in trucking groups. And several people got angry and said that I was being racist for posting Black history information on Black History Month. Several people accused me of being racist, but I figured this one thing, and this is the one thing that I'm going to say, and it's going to make a whole lot of people mad. Most of us grew up believing, having a faith. And the one thing that most faiths that I've realized teach is that whatever the child is when they're a child, whatever their core beliefs are, those will never change when they're adult. They might stray from it a little bit, but they'll always go back to those core beliefs. I said that to say this, and I'm very serious about this, and I'm unapologetic about it because of the attack that I took for posting information about inventors. Hate is conceived when the child is conceived. Hate is nurtured in the DNA and the genes. Hate is nursed in the womb. It's encouraged. Hate, bigotry, racism, all of that is in the child when the child is born. That's the reason why people cannot get people to understand their plight. The frustrating thing about that was many of the people making some of the most racist comments were Latino or Hispanics. But we always talk about Black and brown. And you go through And it was just ridiculous. And one of the Hispanics said, so what? We Mexicans pick y'all's fruit. And got upset when I said, well, I applaud y'all for picking the fruit because y'all get paid for it and y'all force them people to pay y'all good, take care of y'all's families. I said, whereas clean up into the late 70s, probably early 80s, black people were being forced to sharecrop and pick the fruit and pick the stuff that goes in the reefer unit. And sharecroppers is just a pretty name for slavery because they kept them so in debt for the land, for the food. They had to go borrow that they never got any cash to spend. And so it's everyone saying, oh, why do we need a Black History Month anyway? Y'all prove why we need a Black History Month. The hate that y'all are spewing, and I've not said or done, and they were just going off and attacking. And one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not no internet gangster. So say what you will because you're behind a keyboard. We will never see each other. And if we do, you still ain't going to say nothing to me. You just going to walk right past me knowing that's who you said something to. So it is well, George. It's well, son. Get well. Get better. But the Jorge just announced that he's not feeling well. So we know kids are germy, y'all. So, but get well, son. But
he's sick.
Yeah, he's not feeling well. But we have to understand, and this is what I want my fellow Black people, African Americans, whatever you want to call yourself, don't get in the dialogue of teaching because they're going to understand from what they were cultivated from in the womb. It takes in order for a racist to stop being a racist, they have to go through a detox bout like a drug rehab detox. Because they are literally wiping out everything they've ever been taught and everything they've been reared from in the womb. I need people to understand that. You're wasting your time arguing with these people. You can respond to them in love with facts. One of them said, who invented the smash and grab? And a white man responded and said, actually, and this is from a white man. He said, actually, the white women invented the smash and grab during the Civil War. He said the white women were hungry. Their husbands went off to Civil War. The slave owners and the overseers and all of those people went off to the Civil War for the South to fight. And the South was not paying those people. And so the women would take their children to the stores and they would run through the stores or they would break the stores open and steal everything they could and take everything back home. That was a fact that I didn't know. And he even put the link up to prove it. Another person responded and said, well, who's responsible for all this welfare that's going out? And so I sent him a link from the federal government. I just replied, I didn't say anything to him. I replied with a link from the federal government that proved that white people get more welfare than Black people do. Black people get more according to our actual population, but that's the percentage according to the population. The white people as a whole get more than everybody by astronomical numbers. But what it showed me was that you can't love hate out of people. You cannot. No matter how gentle I was being, they just came back even harder. I choose not to give away my energy to anybody. I mean, you know, when you are negative or you're angry or anything of that, you're giving your energy to the person. I always believe that when you give people your anger, you give them access to your team of protection, your spiritual team of protection that your God assigned to you at birth. I take that very, very seriously, so I don't do that. But I learned this week, since yesterday, that there is no reasoning with certain people. And there are more racist and bigoted people in the world than just white people. We always say it's a black and white thing. It's a non-black and a black thing. But black people, this is what I want to encourage us to do. We're not going to stay on the dialogue about how they do us. We need to get on the dialogue about how to take control of our economics. I applaud BFTAA and KUAW radio because they took control of our image, of what is being put out to the world about black people. On KUAW radio, you literally get quality programming. Literally. Y'all just got to go through the YouTube page and just click, and you'll see a little bit of everything and everybody. But you get such quality programming, and it's not just a strictly black radio station. We have people who are not black who are hosts. I don't know if we still do, but we did. And I think they were hosting, was it a sports show, Mr. Walker? I think they were hosting a sports show. The non-black hosts that we had, they were hosting a sports show. They hosted a sports show, and it was really good. I used to watch it. So, when I wasn't driving. But, oh, y'all see my Lakai and Lyne't earrings? Y'all got to look up Lakai and Lyne't designs. And I'll put it in the, what's his name, when I get back home. I didn't bring my phone with Facebook on it, y'all, because Facebook just, I could be sitting here and I don't even see anybody's comments until the end of the show. So I was like, I'm not even going to be distracted and put it on Facebook. I'll just go ahead and view everything through Twitter and chat with people through Twitter. So also, I'm asking everyone to go ahead and go into Twitter and like and subscribe to our page, all of that. Hey, Miss Walker, I see you. But go ahead and go into Twitter and like and subscribe to our page on Twitter. We're trying to build up because, just in case, they said Mark Zuckerberg got caught by his wife, so he just had to shut the whole Facebook down that one day that we couldn't talk on Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, none of that. So y'all want to be able to, because regardless, we're still going to broadcast. Now, there's some shows that are just Instagram and WhatsApp only, Instagram and Facebook only. They might not be able to broadcast. We're still going to be broadcasting because we still have YouTube and Twitter, Twitch, and Periscope and TuneIn. So, but what I want us as black people to do, the first thing I want to address is generational wealth. We always talk about we're breaking generational curses. We're breaking generational curses. We building wealth for our families, this and the other. Well, today I had the privilege, right before coming to the show, I finally opened a spam on Facebook. And it was from a man who said, I really like what you discuss. He was talking about seeing a discussion that I had in another group. I'm trying to keep my earrings cute, y'all, so y'all can buy from her. But he was just talking about a discussion I was having in a group about black people and our net worth being zero by 2030. And he said, the way I'm doing my part to prevent that is, he has 3 children. He's gotten $1 million worth of insurance on himself that is to be passed down to his 3 children. But he structured it with a financial specialist, or whatever you call them. He structured it to where the money, all 1 million, will not go towards his children. It will get paid out, and then it will get invested in a certain way, and then they will have payouts over time. I know somebody very, very close to me who their family member did that for them, and we were discussing how the way that her investor, I forgot what they call the people who look over your inheritance, the way she invested her inheritance made so many gains, it's ridiculous. I mean, she made great gains, and this person got the inheritance when she was very young and was able to be an adult and that money's still sitting there and growing. Even when the stock market was crashing during after Trump's election, she lost no money. She actually gained the way they set it up for her. So this is something that we need to start looking at. Yes, we're starting trucking companies. Yes, we're starting different companies. But in the middle of you starting your trucking company or whatever company you're starting, and you've got this big lump sum of cash that you saved up, before you even get started, you want to make sure that you get yourself a whole life policy. And I know people say don't get whole life, but whole life allows you to borrow against it. That's what the banks literally purchase our whole life policies. Another thing is a term policy expires. So the reason why I don't, and y'all know I used to be licensed insurance producer, which is nothing but insurance agent. But the term life expires. So let's say you get term life in your 20s and you got a 40 or 50-year policy, but you live to be 86. You've paid all that money into that policy because you could get a cheaper rate. And once you've paid it up, there is no payout. Your policy is done at 70 or whatever, 20 and 50. Yeah, your policy's done at 70, but you're 71. You're 86. So these are things that you need to look into. Another thing you need to look into when you're buying your policies, you want to see what company has the best payout for African Americans. Here's a secret. There's a very well-known policy amongst African Americans or black people, whichever one. I like being called black. It just makes it easier. Black is on birth certificate. So, but there's a very well-known company that has helped black people amass great wealth. It's helped a lot of black people become corporate America. But when it comes time, when people pass away and it comes time to pay out, they have excuses for why they don't pay out. That's what you want to look at when it comes to the payout. You want to see who has the highest percentage of payout for African Americans, black people. Now, I know that that information is somewhere. Don't let nobody tell you that they don't have that information, because they do. They do. That information is somewhere. So once you get your policy, you literally want to form a living trust, but you want to form it at a bank. So you have to find a bank. I say a credit union. I wouldn't advise anybody to do a bank. I say form your living trust at a credit union. That's why they call them trust fund babies. We want to make sure, and here's the thing, you don't pass down all $1 million to, this man has got 3 million in policies on him, probably more because he has a wife. But he wanted to make sure that each one of his children received $1 million. But he said that the way he set it up, they won't get that whole $1 million. The $1 million will roll down. It will accrue interest, and the money will keep being passed down generation to generation. How do y'all think Paris Hilton got disinherited? Because Conrad Hilton set up for all of his children to be set. One thing a lot of people don't know about life insurance is only meant until you have that actual cash value in net profit on your head, not in assets, because most assets are not liquid. Liquid means it can instantly turn to the same value in cash. I'm gonna give everybody a lesson here, because I need everyone to understand that we are behind in economics because we don't understand the power of insuring our lives. We don't understand the power of finance. We are still in the mindset of buy it and get the money and spend it, because we were so afraid of someone coming in and taking what we had, or coming in and taking our money, because that was a lot of what was going on during the Reformation era was a lot of the black people were getting their money taken just for being wealthy. The white people would storm in and take their cash. Yeah, they eventually started storming in and just taking their whole houses and businesses. But before that, they would just come in and just take their cash, just debo them out their money. What you gonna do? You don't give it up, you're gonna get hung. So that's where we need to start retraining our mindset for wealth, a wealth builder's mindset. That is the most important mindset to have. There are plenty of books that you can read on wealth building, but The Billionaire Next Door, The 5 Keys to Success, I think it's called Moneyball. A lot of people read The Richest Man on Earth or Richest Man in Babylon. I haven't read that one, but I've read a lot of books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, he breaks it down so good. He tells you that if your house ain't paid for, it's a liability. That when I first read that in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, when he first brought the book out, it literally changed my mind about buying houses. I was like, if I'm not super wealthy and can't afford to pay the mortgage off like immediately, I'm no longer buying a house with a mortgage. Because he was right. You don't own it. It's a debt. You got to keep paying for it. So if you hurry up and pay it off, then you turn around and you pay for the house. Another thing I saw, which I actually did the calculation and the amortization. I can't say this word. The amortization or amortization. When they amortize or y'all be knowing this stuff, but some of these words, these big words, I got GED. But when they spread out and calculate how much your mortgage is over the 10, 15, 30, or 50 years, amortization, I think that's what it's called. I did it in that calculator to verify what this man was saying. One of the things he said was always pay one full extra payment in the year. And it'll bring a 30-year mortgage down to 15 years, literally. One full extra payment, just one. And what he was saying was, as long as, but he explained it, so a lot of people, he explained it wrong, so a lot of people are going to do it wrong. Y'all know I've owned several houses, had a couple of mortgages, cars, all of that. Here's the secret. You're not just paying, he said you want to make sure that your payments add up to, at the end of the year, your payments add up to one payment. So you don't have to do, if you have a $1,200 payment, you don't have to pay an extra $1,200 every month, but you want to make sure that all of your extra payments add up to $1,200 at the end of the year. But here's the thing he didn't say in the video. You want to make sure you demand that money goes to principal only. Because if you pay extra money on your payment, the only thing that's going to happen is it's going to go to interest. The bank is going to eat that extra money, y'all. So when you have anything that's financed, anything, and you're paying anything extra, you got to remember that you got to specifically state or demand that you're paying extra on your principal and not on your whole payment as a whole, because they'll take your extra for interest. Now, another thing before you start doing this kind of stuff, you want to make sure that you don't get a payoff penalty, because they do have payoff penalties, where if you pay off your mortgage early, you will get a penalty for it. These are things I want y'all to understand. We also in the trucker group, a lot of people are discussing owning versus buying a truck versus leasing a truck versus being buying a truck versus leasing as an owner operator or being a company driver. This is what I tell everyone. When you look at people's debt, right now, according to my debt, the people I drive by on the street with cardboard boxes, if they have, according to my debt, if they have $100 in their pocket, they're more wealthy than I am because they have zero debt. So we have to start looking at debt and the economy and income, and as Black people, we have to start looking at it in a different way. We think debt is simply just buying cars and houses, but debt is everything, all it, light bill, water bill, gas bill, it all goes under your debt to income ratio. What is being paid out of your pocket? I'm hoping I'm helping some people understand some things right now, because we complain about racism, but my thing is always this. We watched Dave Chappelle walk in and leverage his $65 million corporation up against a $25 to $30 million corporation. And he walked into City Hall and he was like, hey, y'all, how y'all doing? You know, I'm Dave Chappelle. Everybody, ha, 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 ha. And he spoke his piece, and he told them that he will pull all of his business interests out of his city if they go through with that affordable housing deal that this $25 to $30 million company was trying to do. Money talks. Dave Chappelle didn't have to sue nobody. Dave Chappelle didn't have to get loud. Dave Chappelle didn't have to harass the city council people. Dave Chappelle simply said, if you go through with this, I'm pulling all of my business interests out of this city. Everyone was like, oh, those people were scared because he was going to sue them. He ain't got to sue them. They will lose $65 million worth of business interests that are registered in that city. He will pull them. He's paying probably no telling how much in property tax for all of his properties that he has there. Imagine him pulling those, and Dave Chappelle brings the visitors. Imagine him moving away from there. That is the leverage of money talks. My uncle Miller McLaughlin Jr. Love you, Uncle. He taught me something. He had bought my auntie a Lincoln. It was nice, Lincoln Town Car, 1988, and I think it was in 88. And then he bought himself a Dodge. That was back when it was Dodge Ram trucks. And I was like, wow. And we were talking, and he was like, let me tell you something, niece. And we were driving down the street from church. And I was like, I'm going to get this and I'm going to get that. He said, let me tell you something. He said, you can't go up to these car lots and point out what you want and tell them what you want and expect to get a fair deal. He said, you got to go up in there with a wad of money in your hand. He said, because money talks. He said, they're going to look at that wad of money and they're going to give you exactly what you want. And in 2000, I want to say 2001, my now ex-husband and I had a really nice car that we got from a car lot. Now, we walked in the car lot, this man had like 6 repossessions. Like, it was horrible, y'all. And I only had one, and I was like, and the man, but I remembered what my Uncle Millard said. And before we went, I told my now ex-husband, I said, let's get all this cash. Let's put it in 1s, 10s, 20s, and 5s. I said, and we walked in there with $1,800 cash. And we had it in big old, stuffed in a big old envelope. And the man got to talking, well, we can't do this, and we can't do that, and we can't do this, and y'all are going to have to, and he was telling us what we had to do in order to get the car that we picked out, because he's trying to put us in this ugly Buick LeSabre. I was like, oh no, we was too young for that. We wanted the Monte Carlo. So I took all the cash and I spread it across the front of his desk, never telling him how much cash it was, just spread it across the front of his desk. He's sitting there all cocky, well, you got 5, this and the other, blah, 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 blah. And he was just as cocky and condescending as he wanted to be. I looked at my then husband, I said, take the money, let's go. There was no negotiation, because my Uncle Miller, we call him Uncle Red, Uncle Miller had already taught me money talks. And I'm sitting your whole salary right here in your face. I'm pretty sure when you get this down payment, this is yours. The rest of that goes to the company, but this money right here is yours. So I told my now ex-husband to pick up the money, and as he goes to scoop it, the man touches his hand and said, hold on there, cowboy. Let me go talk to the boss. They come back an hour later with the owner of the dealership. The owner of the dealership looked at us and said, I'm going to back you with the bank, but you miss one payment on this car, and I'm coming to get it personally. We had a total of 6 repossessions, y'all. 6 of them. And God bless that man's soul. I'm about to cry because not only was he good to us about that, but the transmission blew on that car like less than 6-7 months later. And he personally went to his bank up the street, and he made us walk in there and get get a loan, and he backed us on that loan physically. He sat in the bank at the desk. No, it was a year later, and we had perfect payment, and it was a 2.5-year note on the car, and we had perfect payment, and they knew us, and we were always in there. We were always early. Money talks, y'all. We complain about what we want, but we ain't putting no money behind our complaints. It's just as the Bible says, it's as, just clashing brass. It's just a whole bunch of yelling. I'm on this kick for our people to have equity. Everybody talks about we need equality. We got equality. We have our citizenship. We're recognized as citizens. We're supposed to be hired at any job we apply to. Might not be able to do it. Our children can enroll in any school that they want to enroll in. We can enroll them in any school. We're supposed to be able to buy any house we want. But you let J.C. Nichols sell it. And better not know N-word by none of his properties, even when he ain't here. But we have equality. But with the equality didn't come the equity. Everybody had a head start on us. And everybody's head start was continual. And why was everybody's head start continual? Because the system of racism is what built this country, and it was put in place specifically to keep the descendants of kidnapped and terrorized hostages, aka slaves, African and Native American, because I tell people my 2 times great grandmother, her mother was Creek Indian, dark skin. Her daddy was a slave master. She looked just like me, except for a white woman with really long hair. Sometimes we wear the same hairstyle. It's really neat. But you have to remember, everyone doesn't understand that systems were put in place to keep us down. But, we have the highest grossing buying power. If you get black people to stop spending our money, we will tank a whole lot of systems. So let's not stop spending the money, and let's start redirecting where we send our wealth to. I saw a powerful video on YouTube, and I think it was 3, I don't know who it was. I'm not going to quote it wrong. But it was a basketball player, and he was talking to other basketball players, and he said, or the athletes, he said, I'm not counting your money, but you make this much, you make this 100,000, you make this 100,000, you make this 100, you make this. He said, why do we keep having to go to these colleges and these other gyms in order to train when the 5 of us put together can build the same, if not better, gym that we need, keep it all black owned, and train there? He made sense. You don't have to be super wealthy to make a difference. You just have to know how to redirect your wealth. We made China single-handedly, y'all. We got to take the blame for that. Because black folks are some of the biggest spenders, and we put China in position to buy us back into slavery. We gave China billions of dollars of our wealth, trillions of our wealth. The more they produce, the more we buy. We go to China for hair weave when the temples are in India. Why are we going to China for hair weave when the temples are in India? Y'all get what I'm saying? Why are we going to China for hair weave And the ones with the braids, when they're braiding up the wigs in Ghana, in Africa, period. Little kids. Why don't we go straight to India, do all the negotiations, open up our little plants, manufacturing plants in Ghana, which is ain't no bigger than this room, and there's some little girl sitting there braiding. And probably ain't hardly getting paid no money to do it. We have to make sure that no matter what, we begin to, I'm sorry, y'all. We have to make sure that no matter what, we begin to look out for ourselves. How do we look out for ourselves? We begin to build wealth. I salute Dave Chappelle. I'm so grateful that I saw that powerful moment, y'all. A black man walked up in a room full of white people and said, he pointed his hat at them and said, he basically was like, if you go through with this, pulling all my businesses. I'm pulling them off. They couldn't afford to do that. They couldn't afford to lose him. So I want everyone to look at it like this. How do you build generational wealth? The first way to build generational wealth is not to buy your child a truck. I keep saying that. No, that is not how you build generational wealth, because what if you don't live? You're a truck driver. What if you don't live to see that child, to put them in that truck? You build generational wealth by creating trust fund babies. That's how you do it. All of the guys that's, young and got kids, it's best for y'all to buy y'all's insurance policies now and just keep them paid up. When you get your what do you call income tax, get you some whole policies. Whole life. Y'all, I feel like I'm lecturing. I feel like DMX. DMX always said, his first wife said that he told her, they're not listening to me. They're not going to hear me until I'm gone. And I feel like I'm screaming from the mountaintops, hey y'all, they about to put everybody back in shackles. And nobody is seeing this. China has enough money to buy laws, anti-Asian, Asian hate bill laws that are going to be enforced. And better not nobody come against me talking about Asians, because technically I'm Asian, Pacific Islander, baby, look it up. So we can do this if you want to. But literally they have enough money to protect themselves like that. We as a people, we don't, everybody keeps saying, oh, black people need to join together and become one and be unified. I ain't never seen a whole group of white people be unified. Not seen the Chinese unify with the Koreans. They can't stand the Koreans. But I know one thing that the Asians do is they have one main goal, one bullseye, one aim. And they stick with that aim. However way, you can get to my house 27 different ways from wherever you coming from. But what's the one aim? Getting to my house. It doesn't matter the road you take. So our one aim as black people should be to be the economic superpowers. None greater. And what I mean by that is our wealth should be astounding, and it should be in our community, and we all should be able to partake in it and loan and pay back and things of that nature. I'm hoping this message got through to people. We will have a dedicate on, I'll have to do it in March. Next week we have Miss Anita Dixon coming up. She's amazing, y'all. So I want y'all to think about what I discussed tonight, and I want everyone to look into the life insurance policies. This is the Lyne't Gray Show here on KUAW. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Kansas City's first global community radio station, right here in Kansas City, Missouri. I want to wish y'all joy. Look, I want to see y'all. I'll see y'all next Tuesday, 8:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. I want to wish everybody joy, love, peace, happiness, health, wealth, well-being, total enlightenment, prosperity, success, affluence, abundance, and a whole lot of money to you if you want it. Y'all take care. See y'all next week.
We're shining a long overdue spotlight on the hidden figures of untaught history who deserve to be celebrated for their contributions to civil rights, politics, the arts, and beyond.
Whew, it was exhausting.
Yes,
being in
Virginia,
that-
there really
Boy,
was a
in that group,
Bridgerton.
Mr. Walker.
The Netflix series about a biracial queen has a royal underlying backstory. Sophia Charlotte, born May 19, 1744, and lived to be 74, was the queen consort of the British King George III from their marriage on September 8th in 1761 until her death in 1818.
That is strange.
As George's wife,
That group, oh
she
my
was
goodness.
also Electress and later Queen of Hanover and Queen of America when the United States was ruled by England.
You think?
On her wedding day, Charlotte spoke no English. However, she quickly learned English, albeit speaking with a strong German accent.
Write this down.
Queen Charlotte was a direct descendant of Margarita de Castro e Souza, a black branch of the Portuguese royal house. Several de Souzas traveled to the Netherlands when their cousin, the Princess Isabella, went there to marry the Grand Duke, Philip the Good of Burgundy, in 1429.
I thought they would find
Charlotte
it
was a
neat.
patron of the arts and an
Who
amateur
invented what?
botanist who helped
It
expand
just turned
Kew
into an all-out
Gardens. She was distressed by her husband's bouts of physical and mental
They
illness,
sure did.
which became permanent in later life and resulted in their eldest son George's appointment as Prince Regent in 1811.
Like I told him, I'm not
George
here to
III
explain
and
to
Charlotte
y'all
had 15
how y'all
children in
feel.
total, 13 of whom survived to